With firefight training coming closer and closer to its completion, I wanted to add a boss fight. Since quite a long time actually, I knew that I wanted to add a giant mechanical fire-breathing praying mantis. It maybe does not exactly look like a praying mantis, but I took inspiration from them. Praying mantis are incredibly fascinating creatures, and I think they are kind of terrifying. In real life they are quite small, but if they were bigger, I don't know, that would be really scary. Anyway, I drew sketches of different perspectives of this creature, which would make it a lot easier to make the 3D object. I think it's really difficult to make organic shapes with just voxels. For bigger rounded shapes I started with a box, drew the shape on the side and then removed material until it was sort of rounded. It did work out quite alright. In addition to that, what really helped me was that I could make the limbs flat and then rotate them in Unity. This way I didn't have to make any angled lines. In Unity I also added particle systems to the blades and the body of MechaMantis to visualize that it's a creature powered by fire. I then followed a tutorial to implement Inverse Kinematics, which basically means I have a starting and an endpoint and segments between them, and then it figures out how to position the segments to connect the points. I think it would have looked better if each leg only contained 2 segments, or if I adjusted the script, but it's good enough like this. Also, I will link the tutorial in the description if I don't forget to do so. I attached the script to the legs of the mantis and gave it a go. After adjusting minor problems and writing a script to change the target positions once they are out of reach, it already was looking a lot better. This proof of concept was technically working, but it still had quite a few problems. Regardless, I wanted to control the creature myself and therefore wrote a simple camera controller and movement script. It was quite fun. Then I added pillars which need to be extinguished to defeat the MechaMantis. The boss itself is immune to damage of any kind, but it draws the power from the MantisPowerPillars. I added a health bar to display the remaining energy of each pillar with an automatically adjusting color gradient, depending on the amount of power pillars. I then created the 3D object in Magica Voxel and some pixel art for the boss bar. I also created particle beams going from the energy sources to the enemy to help you find them and show how they're connected, and additional particles to appear while the power pillar is being extinguished. The MechaMantis should not just spectate you while you're trying to destroy all energy sources. Therefore, I gave it 3 weapons. FireBreath, a directional area of effect attack in which the mantis ignites the area in front of it with its fire breath, while also dealing damage to any player standing in its way. PowerSmash, an area of effect attack in which the mantis slams into the ground and causes bubbles of lava to rise, dealing damage to the player and igniting the surrounding area. And Fireball. The mantis can shoot multiple fireballs from a great distance which explode on impact, dealing damage to the player and igniting surrounding fires. I attached the NavMesh agent component to the enemy and programmed its brain. Basically, if the player is in vicinity and inside, the mantis will choose the fire breath attack. If the player is in vicinity but hidden behind an object, the mantis will choose power smash, since that attack can go through walls. Technically, fire breath goes through walls as well, but that logically doesn't make any sense, therefore it chooses power smash. If the player is inside but quite far away, the mantis will try to shoot it with fireballs. In any other case, the mantis will just try to walk closer to the player, which is done automatically with the NavMesh agent component. While being constantly under attack, it is a lot more challenging to extinguish the mantis power pillars. I'm using an extinguisher which can extinguish everything immediately, but in the final level that luxury won't be available, and the level will probably have a more complex structure. If you still manage to disable all energy sources, the mantis will collapse and allow you to walk near it. Once you're in vicinity, you board the mantis and can now control it. While controlling the mantis, you're immune to every kind of fire damage, can walk through lava, and you can activate its extinguish breath, which immediately extinguishes all fire in the dedicated area. With that, more or less everything is done. I also adjusted post-processing, added dynamic depth of field blur, I implemented new settings. You can now adjust the particle amount in percentage to lower it for better performance and deactivate post-processing. In addition to that, I gave the player 2 more statistics, one statistic to show you how many, or rather how often you completed a level, and another one to show you how often you defeated the MechaMantis. Additionally, I created and implemented all sound effects. I forgot to record it, but I made them mostly in BFXR and Audacity. I think some sound effects are kind of annoying, or at least a little bit too loud, so I'll also adjust that later. That is everything for this devlog. I pretty much implemented all features in Firefight training now, which means I will probably start working on the levels soon, give this game to some friends to play, test it, fix any bugs which I might find, fine-tune fire values and so on. I also deleted the flaming pyramid, which I added in the last devlog since I didn't really have a use for it, and it had a few bugs causing the game to crash and I was too lazy to fix them. Anyway, I might be quite busy with something else in the next few weeks, but I'll keep working on this game and bring it to an end point potentially quite soon. Anyway, see you next time, bye!